Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of our new podcast, Real Life Spoken English. I'm Oliver, and I'm really excited to start this journey with all of you.
Hi there, I'm Grace, and I'm thrilled to be here too. Whether you're tuning in from your home, your commute, or maybe even a cafe, thanks so much for joining us today.
Before we dive in, we'd love to tell you a little bit about what this podcast is all about. Grace and I are both passionate about English and about helping learners all around the world feel more confident when listening and speaking.
But we don't want this podcast to feel like a typical classroom lesson. Instead, our goal is to focus on real conversations, everyday situations, and the kind of English people actually use in daily life.
Exactly. Sometimes we'll chat about a topic, sometimes we'll share personal stories, and sometimes we'll even act out short role-play situations so you can hear how natural conversations really sound.
So each episode will include a mix of discussion, storytelling, and real-life role play, which makes learning English a bit more interesting and hopefully much more useful too.
Right, and today's topic, one I'm sure many of you can relate to, is moving to a new city.
Ah yes, that big step that can feel exciting and just a little bit terrifying at the same time.
Absolutely. Starting life in a new place often means figuring everything out from scratch. The streets, the people, the transport, even where to buy your groceries.
And when you're in that situation, conversations with friends become really important. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to about how things are going.
Exactly. So before we continue talking about this topic, we thought it would be fun to show you what one of those conversations might sound like in real life.
Imagine two friends meeting for coffee. One of them has just moved to a new city, and they start catching up.
Let's listen to how that conversation might go.
Hey Grace, long time no see.
Oliver, wow, it really has been ages. How have you been?
Pretty good actually, although I've been a bit busy lately. I just moved into a new flat last week.
Oh, really? That's exciting, but I imagine it's also a bit stressful.
You have no idea. I've still got boxes everywhere. Honestly, it feels like I'm living in a maze of cardboard.
Oh, I remember that feeling. When I moved last year, I had boxes stacked up in every corner of my apartment.
The funniest part is how confusing everything feels at the beginning. The first few days, I kept getting lost trying to find the nearest grocery shop.
That happens to everyone. When I first arrived in London, every street looked the same to me.
Exactly. And then suddenly you discover a nice cafe or a park nearby and you think, okay, maybe I can settle in here after all.
Yes, those little discoveries make such a huge difference.
What was the hardest part for you when you first moved?
Honestly, meeting new people. Back home, you naturally run into friends all the time, but in a new city, you really have to reach out and start conversations.
That's so true. I joined a running group near my flat just to get out of the house and meet a few people.
Oh, nice. Did it work?
Yeah, actually. At first it felt a bit awkward, but after a few runs I started chatting with people. Now I recognise a few familiar faces.
That's great. Sometimes those small interactions help you feel like you finally fit in somewhere.
Do you remember any embarrassing moments from your first week?
Oh, absolutely. One day I walked into a meeting thinking it was just a casual meetup, but it turned out to be a very formal networking event.
Oh no.
Everyone was dressed in suits, and I was standing there with a croissant and coffee in my hand.
That's brilliant. I spilled coffee on the office floor on my first day at work.
Well, that's definitely one way to make a first impression.
But you know what? After a few weeks, things started to feel different.
How so?
I started recognising streets, figuring out shortcuts and discovering places I liked.
Exactly. That's when the city slowly starts to feel like it belongs to you.
Yeah, the fear fades and you begin enjoying the process.
Have you managed to build a routine yet?
A little bit. I've got a morning coffee spot now and a small park I like to walk through before work.
That's perfect. Routines really help you settle into a new place.
Moving really is a mix of emotions though. Excitement, nerves, sometimes loneliness.
Absolutely, but it's also an adventure. Every day you discover something new.
And every small step helps you build up confidence.
Exactly.
All right, we're back. That was a little glimpse of what a real conversation might sound like when someone has just moved to a new city.
And as you probably noticed, we used quite a few phrasal verbs in that conversation.
Yes, and phrasal verbs are extremely common in everyday English. Native speakers use them all the time. So let's go through a few of the important ones that appeared in our role play.
One phrase we used was settle in. To settle in means to become comfortable in a new place. For example, when you move to a new city, it takes time before you feel relaxed and familiar with your surroundings.
Exactly. In the role play, I said that finding a nice cafe made me feel like I could finally settle in. Another useful phrase we mentioned is reach out. To reach out means to contact someone or try to connect with people.
When you move somewhere new, you often have to reach out to others if you want to make friends. That might mean joining clubs, talking to coworkers, or starting conversations with neighbors.
We also use the expression run into someone. This means to meet someone by chance or unexpectedly. For example, in your hometown, you might run into friends at the supermarket or on the street. But in a new city, you don't have those familiar faces yet. Another very common phrasal verb is figure out. To figure something out means to understand it or solve a problem.
When you move somewhere new, you have to figure out a lot of things: the transportation system, the neighborhood, and even the culture. We also mentioned the phrase fit in. To fit in means to feel accepted and comfortable in a group of people.
That can be one of the biggest challenges when you move somewhere new. But over time, as you meet people and build relationships, you start to feel like you belong. And finally, we used the phrase build up confidence. This means gradually becoming more confident over time.
With English learners, this is especially important. The more you speak and practice, the more your confidence builds up.
Now, before we continue, we'd like you to try something. Think about a time when you moved somewhere new. Maybe it was a new city, a new school, or even a new workplace. Take a moment to remember how that felt.
Now try saying this sentence out loud. It took me some time to settle in, but eventually I started to feel at home.
Great job. Speaking phrases out loud helps your brain remember them much better.
You know, Oliver, when people talk about moving somewhere new, they often focus on the challenges.
That's true. Moving to a new city can really push you out of your comfort zone. You start trying new things, exploring different places, and meeting people you might never have met otherwise.
Exactly. When I moved to London, I remember feeling overwhelmed at first, but after a few months, I realized how much I had grown as a person.
I think that's a really important point. Sometimes the most uncomfortable experiences lead to the biggest personal growth.
So, overall, moving to a new city is a big adventure, full of emotions like excitement, nerves, loneliness, and hope.
And it's perfectly normal to take your time to settle in, reach out, and figure things out step by step.
If you're planning to move somewhere new, remember to be patient with yourself. Try new things, branch out, meet people, and keep practicing your English.
Little by little, you'll build up confidence, and before you know it, the place that once felt strange will start to feel like home.
Well, that brings us to the end of our very first episode of Real Life Spoken English.
We hope you enjoyed the conversation and the role play, and that it helped you hear how English is really used in everyday life.
If you liked this episode, make sure to subscribe and come back for more stories, role plays, and real-life conversations.
Take care, keep practicing, and remember, every new city is a new chapter waiting to be written.
Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.